Hi there, hope you're doing well. This is Dan from onlinebasscourses.com, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to use 4 different arpeggios. So I'm going to use G major as an example. Any major key will adhere to exactly the same rules that I'm showing you now. So a major 7th arpeggio is formed by taking the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th and the 7th. Let me just remind you what a major scale is. Just in case you don't know, I'm going fret 3, 5 on the E string, then 2, 3, 5 on the A, and 2, 4, 5 on the D string, using fingers 2, 4, and then 1, 2, 4, and then 1, 3, 4. If you know the scale really well, then it's easy to find an arpeggio. So it's just 1, 3, 5, 7. You number the notes 1 to 8. You just play 1, 3, 5, 7. I'm putting the octave in there just to make it complete. Can go up and down, and that's just a G major 7th arpeggio. I'm not going to get too much into the theory, but in any major key, the arpeggio that you build on the 1st note and the 4th note is going to be major 7th. So, I don't know. Now, the great thing about this is that you can take notes away and make it much simpler, and you'll still get great results if you're making up your own bass lines. So, what if I just take root notes, just the lowest note of each chord? That time, I just took the 1st, 3rd and 5th, just that, 3 notes on its own. That's called a triad. I've just made up a bass line using just that. So you've got your major 7th, but you can extract notes, take notes away, and still have a nice collection of notes that are always going to sound good over these chords. So I'm just going from the G to a G chord to a C chord, the 1 to the 4, and you can play those kind of ideas over that. So another arpeggio that's really important, really common, is the minor 7th. And this happens on the 2, the 3 and the 6 chords in a major key. Now you can see that they're often labelled in Roman numerals. Okay, uppercase for major, lowercase for minor. It's really, really important to know this, because we'll get onto this after I've shown you the 3 remaining arpeggios, but chord progressions form the basis of music. So this is a minor 7th arpeggio. I've moved across to the 5th fret of the E string, that's the A. Use my 1st finger. I've got 5th fret, 8th fret, 1st finger, little finger, then 7th fret of the A string, and then 1st finger on the 5th fret of the D string. I'm very, very aware that that's a root note. This is a minor 3rd. This is a perfect 5th. And that's a minor 7th or flat 7th. And that's the octave. Very important to know your intervals. Great thing about this, I said that the 2 chord, which is the A in this case, works over that. Go up 2 more frets to the B. That's the 7th fret of the E string. Exactly the same chord, exactly the same shape. Now go to the 7th fret of the E string. That's the 6th chord, just to be clear. It's the chord built on the 6th note of the scale. So musicians often will say that, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 6 chord, whatever. So the 2, the 3 and the 6 all contain exactly that same minor 7th arpeggio. There I was just using triads. So that's just the 1st, 3rd and the 5th. Ignore the 7th, ignore the octave. That's it. That's the triads. So that's major 7th arpeggio, got a minor 7th arpeggio. Another very, very important one is the one that occurs on the 5 chord. So in this case, walk up 5 from G, get to the D, and it's a dominant 7th arpeggio or just 7th arpeggio. So I'll show you that. So I'm doing 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the A string, it's D. There are different patterns, but this is a fairly common one. 1st finger on the 4th fret of the D string, that's the major 3rd. fourth finger on the 7th fret of the D string. There's your major triad again. This time we have a minor 7th or a flat 7th on top of that. So that's your second finger on the C, on the 5th fret of the G string. Now if we just isolate that, just learn that pattern, remember that pattern, I'll go back to G, and this time I'm going to do a dominant 7th chord on a G, on a C and a D. Kind of Beatles, old school R&B, blues, that's where your dominant chords come in. Very, very handy. So we've got major 7th, we've got minor 7th, we've got that dominant chord that only occurs once in a series of chords that you get harmonizing a major scale. That's on the 5 chord. And then you've got one more chord, which is a minor 7 flat 5. Bit of a mouthful, but that occurs on the 7. So in this case, that's F sharp. So let's just do this. There's that first note, the G. Instead of going all the way up here, let's just go down 1 fret and you'll get to the 7th note. That's F sharp. Sounds very odd on its own, but I'll show you how to apply that in just 1 second. But I'll show you how to play it. If you remember that a minor 7th flat 5 is first finger, in this case on the 2nd fret, then you've got your little finger on the same string, that's your flat 3, your minor 3rd. I've got my 3rd finger on the 4th fret. That would be a normal or a perfect 5th, and just flatten that, take that down 1 fret, and you've got a flat 5. It has to be this because an arpeggio is just when you go 1, 3, 5. And from F sharp, you got F sharp, G, A, B, C. So the 5th in this instance is flattened. If you just know your major scale, you know the notes within it, you'll be able to find this really easily. So you've got a major 7th, you've got a minor 7th, you've got a dominant 7th, you've got a minor 7th flat 5. I've already showed you a couple of ways that you can play major 7th. You know, if you're in one key, you can go from the 1 to the 4, and that works. I showed you, you know, a little improvisation around chords 2, 3, and 6. In this case, that's A minor 7, B minor 7, and E minor 7. It's all, I'm really, really trying not to add extra notes in just to complicate things. I'm really sticking to arpeggios just for this lesson, but why not? I'll just show you. So I was sticking to the arpeggios, and then that's E minor pentatonic because it fits over these chords. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much into that, but G major is related to E minor, and if you know your G major pentatonic and E minor pentatonic, which isn't very difficult at all, put some links to a couple of other lessons, then you can expand and embellish over your arpeggios. Let's quickly look at 2 very common jazz chord progressions. The first is the major 2-5-1. I'll do it in the key of G. So again, 2-5-1. You just find the 2, the 5, and the 1 within your major scale. See, I really know that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 is A. In this case, it's A minor 7. Then the 5 is D7. And the 1 is the G major 7. So I'm just going to do arpeggios on that. How to create a really smooth and really cool sounding 2-5-1 is probably a different lesson, doing a walking bass line. I'm just going to literally play the arpeggio up or down in a not extremely musical way. The second time, I linked up the notes a little bit more smoothly and stuck a couple more scale notes in there. And if you do that over your arpeggios, it'll sound a little bit more musical. So we had our major 2-5-1. We also have a minor 2-5-1. And in this key, it's where you go F sharp minor 7 flat 5, otherwise called F sharp half diminished, a bit less of a mouthful. The 5 is going to be B7, and then we've got E minor 7. So you'll notice that the B was a minor before, but in a minor 2-5-1, you kind of convert the minor 7th to a dominant 7th because it's got a greater pull back to the 1, back to the E minor 7. So it doesn't technically, that B7, come from this key, but if I play it in chords, and arpeggio, so we've got F sharp minor 7 flat 5. That's a minor 2-5-1. Major 2-5-1s, minor 2-5-1s, and chord progressions within a key are all incredibly important, and they're all going to be based around either a major 7th, a minor 7th, a half diminished or minor 7 flat 5, and a dominant chord. Now, there are many other arpeggios, many other triads, but really just those 4 alone will give you a lot of mileage when you're playing bass. Earlier on, I was desperately trying not to play other things other than arpeggios, but I wanted to, you know. So don't forget that every single position where you're getting an arpeggio, so for example, if I was to play A minor 7, every single arpeggio comes from a scale, or in this case, a mode. Mode and scale I use interchangeably. A lot of people do. So when I'm playing, when I'm improvising, when I'm making bass lines up, I'm not actually thinking about any of this because I've done the hard work to internalize it, and that's what really I want you to do. But I have got all these options under my fingers, and very often I'll just be playing the root note. Maybe an octave, but I know I have that was in that case I was just playing that Dorian mode all the way under there. There's the minor 7 arpeggio. Everything I've said in this lesson, any minor chord you can play a minor pentatonic scale over it, any major chord a major pentatonic scale over it. So whilst this lesson is about arpeggios, I had to tell you that because it's just too much good information for you. But really, you've got a scale or a mode. Coming from that, you have an arpeggio or triad. Then a 7th arpeggio. These things are all, you know, just built on top of each other, and you can play chords from that. Which is just where you play notes from the arpeggio, but together at the same time. You're probably not going to be doing that very much when you're playing bass, but it's really good fun to do. It sounds great in solo bass playing, or sometimes in solos, or just making up songs on the bass. You can, of course, use chords to do that. I've got loads of other lessons that go into the theory a little bit more than this lesson did, but if you have any questions at all, leave it in the comments below and I'll get back to you. I do at least a lesson a week, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll be doing more lessons based around making music from the ideas that I showed you in this lesson. So I hope you got something from that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.